I want to talk about forgiveness, but at another level. And I know some of you have, heard me talk about forgiveness, or I've talked about it many times. I have a lot of free videos on YouTube and all that. But also, I've written the book called The Book of Love and Forgiveness. And I want to make it very clear that some people assume that that forgiveness is just a linear thing, like it happens one day. I heard somebody that talked about they had some miracle happen due to forgiveness. It's not like you think, where it's a linear or a one-time thing. So when I'm talking about forgiveness, you don't want to get tempted to go, oh, I already know about forgiveness, or I've heard Michael talk about forgiveness. That's why I'm saying let's talk about forgiveness like at another level. A little bit of synopsis, but also adding some important pieces. Forgiveness is a morphing, growing level of consciousness. Now, A Course in Miracles explains that forgiveness is the only thing in the world of illusion that has any value. It's the only illusion that has value, because it's the bridge to go from illusion to remembrance. So it's a valuable illusion. All right? Now, forgiveness, though, is something that, we think, okay, well, I guess that means I'm supposed to forgive somebody, please. I mean, if that's the level you're at, I think that's fine. But there's so much more to be, experienced. So instead of the linear version of forgiveness, understand, just close your eyes for 10 seconds and think about anyone you ever extended forgiveness to. Any situation you ever experienced any amount of forgiveness. Whether it was from others to you or you to others, just think about that for a sec. When and where have I ever experienced forgiveness? See if you can remember how nice that felt. Did it change something? Usually in the soul, usually a feeling changed. And then you can close that for now. So imagine what we're going to be talking about is not the forgiveness you've already experienced. We're talking about the forgiveness, how to take that to another level. So what if the forgiveness you ever experienced, let's say on a 0 to 10 scale, you were feeling kind of hurt, resentful, whatever, and it was making you feel like a 0 or a 1 or a 2. And you did some forgiveness and man, it took you to like a 6. It'll never drop again. You can get tempted to go back to a little resentment, a little frustration, but when you've achieved forgiveness, you never, never, ever lose forgiveness, the quality of it. That's good news. But what's also nice is that you can take it to another level. And when you think, well, I did experience some forgiveness, but it only took me to like a 2 or a 4, great. Because the gears may roll, but it'll never click back. You're at a 4, you may feel like you're at a 2 or a 3, but your soul will not lose the forgiveness that it extended or experienced. But it can go upwards. So something has to happen here to take forgiveness to another level. And somebody goes under this very unfortunate presumption, well, I already forgave them, so I can't really go back there again. You will go back there again. Until it's a 10, you will go back to it again. And that bothers some people because it makes you think you must have failed somewhere in your if I did forgiveness, it should be done. No, because underneath my attempts and my intention to forgive are also moments of hesitance, doubt, fear, triggers. And that's just very typical of the ego mind. It's called not good enough. I started practicing forgiveness, but it must not be good enough. It's just that haunting, that ghost of the ego that tries to haunt us. So we come more and more to this place of, okay, if stuff comes up again, it maybe is capable of taking me to another level. Why bother doubting that you did your work? Why bother doubting any of that? Just allow it. If it's coming up, get on board and let it take you to another level. Now, I've said many times, forgiveness is the key to all. It really is. Forgiveness can not only give you external things, which people don't realize, but it gives you an internal thing. So it's easy to say forgiveness, it brings us peace. Oh, that. What do you mean, oh, that? That's huge. Peace. People do not realize, like I did the talk here, peace surpasses understanding. Peace is greater. You think you want to understand things. If every scientist, medical and other versions of science, if every one, faction of, science or every facet of science said, we have all had a revelation, every scientist of every type, we've all had a revelation. We've been trying to think so that we could understand, so that we could come to peace. That even a scientific mind feels a certain, wow, when they have greater understanding. So what if they all said, we're going to abandon the whole plan of going with thinking to get understanding to get peace. Instead, we're going to go peace, then understanding, then thinking. The thoughts are not allowed until there's a greater understanding, which means thoughts will be very unimportant by that point because you'll have it. So that's just kind of giving that perspective. It's the same with forgiveness. Forgiveness can not only bring you peace, which is really everything. Everything. A Course in Miracles was published by the Foundation for Inner Peace for a reason. Because Jesus was telling them in their channeling this book, inner peace would be all you need because it would mean you're back into oneness with God. You could also call it oneness. It's the same. Humans kind of go, well, I like this word more than that. When you track it all back, those words, love, peace, joy, oneness, they're all, at the pinnacle, they're all God. All they are is feelings of being connected to God. So forgiveness can offer you internal things like peace. But believe it or not, it can also bring you external things. I think this is beautiful and profound, but for some reason people don't get it. If you're saying, I really would like a better car, mine keeps breaking down. We don't realize this and practice it enough. Forgiveness would actually get you a new car. Oh, I don't know how to do that, so I'm going to just work harder. More hours till it breaks my brain and my spine and my nervous system so that I can get a new car, which I can't drive now because I'm having a nervous breakdown and I'm in the hospital. So humans have a very twisted way of trying to achieve things. Forgiveness brings us anything. There's oneness with God, which means I am love, peace, joy, abundance. There's a veil that kicked in where I thought I separated and started judging. And then the end result, this world reflects my judgments, not just like hateful judgments, the judgment that I'm flawed and separate from God. Then the judgments that my flawed, separate from God consciousness is like guilty and ashamed. And then I manifest people in my life that mirror that. So I have issues with God, self, and others. Forgiveness clears the slate. Not harder work. Forgiveness. When mankind first was arriving, hundreds of thousands of years ago, you could say millions of years ago, but as we developed technologies, even hundreds of thousands of years ago, building monuments, the Great Pyramid built 10,000 years BC. Don't watch History Channel, they're wrong, okay? So these monuments, how did they move those stones? So you have these dense humans called scientists and, archaeologists, and they're just dense going, there's only one way they could have moved them, brute force. See, because that is a mind that knows nothing. So it comes up with dense answers. Back then, before we fell, we were still feeling connected enough to where we could ask a rock to move. And people have forgotten that. And we're evolved. Those were called primitive people. They thought, those primitives, they couldn't even figure out how to light fire. They ran an electrical system through the grids of this planet for a long time, which now alternative archaeology is kind of coming up with that. But Lord, man, it takes forever to get anything moving in these slow wheels. But we forgot, it's not just the consciousness that could move a rock. Forgiveness can move a planet. Forgiveness will eventually dissolve the entire universe because we will have no need for anything remaining that's dense. That's not bad news. It's as we return to spirit, spirit won't need matter. And you might think, well, but we love matter. You may not understand it now. But when you do that, when we experience forgiveness to a level of releasing matter, you're releasing the mother. Mother says, I'm here to nurture you. By the way, what are you giving back to the mother? Well, we try not to pollute the earth. That's the earth mother. What are you giving to the universal mother? Well, I guess I could, pray, and that's all nice. But there's only one thing she wants. Us to release ourselves and release her. She wants us to release her. She's saying, while you're stuck, I'm stuck. While you're material thinking people, I have to freeze as matter. When you forgive, you release me back to being the divine mother instead of being semi-divine matter. So she gains by our releasing all of her children, us included. Mother, I notice, I love you, Mother, you beautiful rocks that you are. I love you, Mother, in the beautiful trees and the animals. I love you. I do. On the earth level, I love you. But what if there's another level that I'm not even that familiar with? Why don't I try that? Mother, I love you in your form, but I would like to get to know you as your spiritual self. Even though you might think it's beautiful, the mother in form, it cannot hold a candle to the mother spirit. So to say, how do I do that? Oh, I'm going to have visualization of the mother, all kinds of cool things. But to really understand how it happens is forgiveness. I forgive myself for having limiting beliefs. Oof. The whole universe feels this thing happen. Well, really? Just me? I'm only one of 8 billion people. I only am here for a few short years. And I still have issues. How do I change the whole universe? It's very sad that people have forgotten who and what they really are and the impact we can have with consciousness. You can stand around in a circle drumming and so forth. All those things are really nice. But if it doesn't change you, if you're the same person when you come down from the Red Rocks drumming and fluting, and you come down and you're the same person that went up, who did something wrong? You're going to blame the rocks, the flute, the drum? You're the one. You're walking up, I can't wait to get to the top and play some flute and, do some work, bring in universal spiritual energy and oneness, and you still hate somebody. This is why Jesus says, don't come to the altar with resentments. Clear them. And we think, well, no. What we're told is we're going to come to the altar with our resentments. You're going to fix them, right? And God's like, fix what? If I created you holy, what's there to fix? You seem to be the one with the problem. So don't come to the altar and say, God, I have 10 people, I've written their names down. They're terrible people, and I want you to fix them. This is what people do typically with prayer. Make my boss give me a raise and make this and make relations get along. And God's saying, well, I created you in my image, and even though you screwed that up thoroughly, I'm paraphrasing, God doesn't actually say that, but even though you screwed that up thoroughly, I've given you a repair kit. Reach into your manual, pull it out, and number one, and the first and last rule, forgiveness. So then we go through this, the deeper understanding. What is it you would like in your life? And you don't have to be all sublime, guys, and mystical. Oh, I just want world peace. Now you sound like Miss America. You don't have to be all cosmic. To what you ask of God has to be all, wow. If you need a car, fine. If you need a liver transplant, whatever it is, a new relation, anything. It's not bad to ask for stuff if that's the level of consciousness you're at. Just ask away. Don't get invested in the asking. Don't get invested in the answers. Just get it out of your system. And it's quite all right. You can be all primal about it. You can beat on a pillow when you're asking. You can cuss if you want to. Bloody hell, God, I can't believe my life sucks. And that was tame. Okay? You can say all kinds of gruesome things. You know what God hears? A weight being lifted off of its child's shoulders. God's not like, oh, la, 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 I can't hear this. This is offending me. Come on. Thou shalt not use God's name in vain. Oh, then I'm really in trouble. That's not what that meant. Don't use God's name in vain meant don't use God's name worthlessly. Meaning God's name worthlessly, in vain. Not in vain like in horror. Don't waste your energy saying, God, fix them. That's wasting time and energy. God will not fix them. You will. So God says to us, I want my children back. They've all forgotten who they are. Will any of you walk up to them and say, hey, Father, Mother God, guess what? This person whose hand I'm holding, I'm choosing to remember who they are, which brings your child home to you today. And God's like, whoo, wow, you little savior, you. And we're going, Jesus, do this for me. No. All the things I have done, you shall do and more. Remember that line? How did people interpret it? Oh, if he could walk on water, I can get a car. They interpreted it to be them getting their stuff again. Them getting their way. Why didn't they interpret it to a deeper, profound meaning instead of, well, if he could do it, I can do it? It meant all the forgiveness I was able to pull off, you can do and more. And you will do it. Today, tomorrow, you get to choose when. This is inevitable. We're all going home. It's just a matter of time. And we thought, God, you know what, the New Age movement? We thought, in the 80s, even I loved that. Because I saw, wow, it was a really good sign. The 80s, and it just felt like soon after this is breaking open, the 80s, 90s, the New Age thing. God, every city was starting to have New Age bookstores, incense. It was just like a spiritual renaissance. And it was like, this is just moving. This is great. Even my mother bought incense. Wow, that is the changing of the world, So it felt like there's going to be a UFO in every garage soon enough. Every house will be run off crystals, and it just felt like everything was going to be cosmic. What happened? It all went to hell in a handbasket. Because it isn't the new agey thing that's going to take us home. That was just telling us what we're feeling at the time. And so this becomes the warning. Warning, 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 warning. Because when you say, I'm ready to set an intention to become a more loving, forgiving person, we expect the New Age thing to come back. It's very cool. We all wear purple, or whatever. New Age, garlands, goddess garlands, and all kinds of cool things. Some sort of, New Agey tattoo or a t-shirt that says Archangel Michael or Saint Germain. All of that is cool. Everybody's got to listen to, Stephen Halpern and Yanni and whatever else was popular flavor of the month. So that's kind of all that New Age movement. And we thought we do our work, the New Age movement comes, and it'll continue. It's just a matter of time that a really crown chakra president gets elected. And you just got nothing but clown chakras, Like, wrong chakra. It's not what people thought. It looked like there was a progression. Didn't it look like that? But look what happened. You know why? Because when you set an intention to become more forgiving, when we set our collective intention to go home, very soon now, by the way the universe sets that up isn't, oh, well, look, humans that said they would like to become more evolved. Let's just open it up for them. That's like a New Year's resolution. A New Age resolution. It lasts like a minute and a half. Everybody with their ADHD kind of spirituality mentality. It doesn't last. So you know what the universe does? Oh, check this out. Calling all the masters and angels. Come here, come here, quick, listen. And I swear that I'm ready to manifest the New Age. Your will be done, O Lord God. All chakras aligned and boom. And everything's happened. We're up on the Red Rocks. We flew thousands of miles to get to Sedona for this gathering. Boom. And again and again and again. The universe is like, waiting, are you done yet? No. And everybody's just chilling. It's just fantastic. That's nice. The universe is just hearing, that's nice. That's all. The universe is like, oh, yeah, it's very nice. Thank you. That's cute. Then what it does is, wait till you get down from the mountain. We have every resentment waiting. Because you claimed you wanted to be part of this opening the doorway to heaven experience, God's will done on earth. Well, here's God's will. That you not have any issues or judgments left. You asked for it, so here it comes. And, it's like you're chiming and new aging and chanting and incense and hugs and new age. And then you don't know how it is that your ex called you that day. Now, of course, that validates how often they ruin every good moment of yours. But my seeing that and going, you can have your little, grit your teeth a little, oh, good one, man, good one. I was having such a nice day and you had to bring them back into, oh man, good one. You can do that with a little attitude because they're laughing too. Watch this. That's what they do. Listen, they're chanting. They actually think this covers it all. Wait, just wait. Chanting, all that again and again. And they're going, now watch. Bring. Watch how they react. Because it's kind of funny. Because you cannot claim to really be ready to become a more loving, forgiving person until you're actually ready to become a more loving and forgiving person. The words don't mean anything. Is it real? Is it really anchored in your mind, body, soul? So there are stages to this. First, there is refusal to forgive at all. Who are you refusing to forgive? Yourself or others? So there's that level. But when we start to practice forgiveness, listen to the wording. We start learning to forgive others for things they've done. Then we shift to forgiving not just others, but ourselves. For what? I didn't do anything that, sounds to me like you're at the first level, so go ahead and go back. And why don't we start with making lists? Let's make lists of all, people that hurt you and that were bad and mean, because they were. We understand that. Somebody hurt you, they said something mean. Make a list, and then you process, you pass the stick, and each of us takes turns telling, the mean people in our lives and things that hurt us. Parents that didn't do this, parents that did do that. Partners that didn't do, partners that did do, and so on. So we make our list, we process. You burning bowl it, you pray it, you chant it, you do ceremonies and circles, forgiveness workshops, intensives, the books. All of that is very important. One day, when it's organic, you'll notice that you started talking about yourself instead of others. That means you shifted, major shift, from one level of forgiveness of others towards the conversations about yourself. Others. I had like 15 people that betrayed me. Betrayed who? Me. But there's 15 of them. And who did they betray? Me. Who's the common denominator? They are. They. There's one hub and many spokes. So you start talking differently. And I want you to remember, I've always said, don't push yourself to forgiveness at a level you're not ready for. Keep talking about them. Keep talking about, go ahead. Process it. There'll be a moment organically where all of a sudden, they, and then you start going, but why did these people always do this to me? Why did they? And then you go, why did I always attract this? It doesn't mean I'm telling you you're bad, but why did this keep happening to me? And you start to realize, okay, wait, I'm going to forgive myself for, first of all, for judging others. It doesn't mean they didn't do anything hurtful. Selfish, hurtful, narcissistic, yes, at times. But I'm just done spending 99% of my conversations on them. Let me shift some of it over to here. Now you got this organic shift to where you're working on, oh my God. And you will have it happen if you haven't already. You'll have it happen where you go, I almost don't even want to waste any time talking about them. And that's pretty amazing. Because at one point, they. At another point, it's weird because it's like, I can't even waste energy doing that. Not because I refuse, like I mustn't. No, guys, if you mustn't, then there's still some energy there, so go work it. But there's a point where it's organic and it's like, I can't even imagine spending another 1-hour counseling session on the same ex-partner, whatever. If it's there, talk it. But if it's not, give yourself permission to say it's not there anymore. Oop, but it came back. It will sometimes. A little extra cleansing, let it be that and move on. Let it be no more than a sneeze. I just sneezed. I can't believe it. I shouldn't sneeze if I'm spiritual. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird if you're going to go that far. I'm so spiritual I shouldn't sneeze. That's all it is. A sneeze. More stuff built up and I'm sneezing it out. Let me work it. Now back to the center again. There will come a time, however, there's another step where we realize I'm talking about they, them, to me, I, me, mine, my wounds, my hurts. Because I start to realize something is happening, and that includes that as I'm shifting inside, it changes my whole perspective about them. As I shift inside, it starts changing my perspective about me. The third stage is all of a sudden I go to, over here, God. Might have to work on some forgiveness with God as well. But what I do notice at the end of the day, others, self, when you say God, by the time you get to the God state of consciousness to any degree, even if it's for 1 second of every day, for that 1 second, there are no others, there's no me, there's only oneness. So forgiveness draws you back to oneness. Why? Because the lack of forgiveness, which is called judgment fractured us and sent us out here, having a self and others in our lives. So forgiveness simply is reversing it. Others to self to nothing. There is nothing else. There is no one else to forgive. You see, there's just, it's great. I'm back into Godness, goodness. I'm back to realizing, again, you're not denying that things happen in this world. But when they happen, the immediate answer is, forgive them, they know not what they do. But that's not supposed to be some hoity-toity statement. Forgive these low-life humans. Unlike me, they have issues. Forgive them, they know not what they do. Please feel that. They really don't know what they're doing. Factually, they don't know. Well, how can you say that? Because if you know who you are, you wouldn't do those things. And you can't know who you are without knowing who they are. I can't say, I'm going to forgive you because I'm one with God and, you're messed up. If I'm still seeing a they, I haven't even gotten past the first stage of forgiveness. I'm here and you're over there. I find myself through others. A lot of New Age people, oh, no. You got to, it's you and you got to awaken and it's not about others. You have to temporarily work with others to find yourself. Then the image, the belief, the feeling of others changes. All of a sudden I realize if I resent you, I resent myself. When I forgive you, I forgive myself. It's not, unfortunately, these great statements from scriptures, for example, they get said so often that people don't even know what they're saying anymore. Such as, all the things I've done, you'll do more. Or, they know not what they do. Really soak in that idea. They really don't. Now, watch, because you may have thoughts that say, well, I can do that with some people that are mildly annoying, but not people that are majorly upsetting. That's because you have work to do. Not they have work to do, you have work to do. So in part what I'm leading to is, the world is just acting nuts these days. Probably nuttier than any time in history. Now, but it's going to continue going in that direction. Okay? Because if there's any amount of nuttiness on the planet that's even a close second, we're going to have to leave that way behind and go all the way nuts. Because it's going to get nuttier over the next generation or so. But that's not like a downer. What I'm saying is, guys, we have to clear ourselves. You don't usually go into a room, recovery, 12-step group, and say, if I knew that things were going to be this good, I would have come in here a long time ago. I would have never even needed an addiction because this is just so cool. usually it gets worse. Because what you find in the recovery group is what you've been drinking to cover up in the first place. Geez, just give me a drink. I mean, this is how humans perceive things. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a blind study. In room 1, we have people that, both rooms, people that want to, get beyond their stuff. Group 1, they're just going to be given liquor. Group 2, self-help programs. This one, in literally in 2 minutes, if not seconds, they're going, I'm already feeling better about my stuff. This group, the teeth are starting to, the tears or the teeth. One's happening. The grinding anger or the tears. It's either going to be woe is me or woe is you, man. But I'm not going to be happy. But this is the only one that's doing any good. I mean, it really is. But I don't know, understand. I feel better over here. You really don't. You're altered. It's fake. And it'll wear off. Then you'll need 2 drinks. And it'll wear off, then you'll need 3. Then you need 1 every day, and so on. This group here, just like practicing forgiveness, it's not easy because you go, I'm going to start practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness of what? Because I'm in a new age group and we just sit around and go, forgiveness. We sing it as a song, whatever. You make it into a nice, cute thing. That's nice. But when it really gets down to middle of the night, you have a nightmare, some really gets you sweating, and middle of the night you wake up shaking because somebody from your past was remembered in a dream. Some of the things they did, called night terrors. You start having night terrors. You don't go, God, this is really working well. God, I want to get some Stephen Halpern music in the background of my night terrors. That's not how you usually respond to it. But the night terrors are actually day terrors because it's what you feel all day long and don't know it. But at night you let your guard down a little and boom. As I forgive, I'm changing my life. And as I change my life, we're all connected. All of us are changing. We're all changing. Consciousness is beginning to shift. Okay? It's shifting. The whole world. Oh, I can't wait till everybody becomes spiritual. Guys, we've all had the temptation to think that in our lives. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if only? And all of a sudden we realize it's not happening the way I thought or hoped. I guess it's going to happen inside, not outside. So people consistently run from this level of consciousness or these awarenesses. They run, walk, run, whatever. They try to turn away from it. They too know not what they do. Your partner that doesn't want to share in your beliefs, they know not what they do. That's not you're better than them. They're part of us too that doesn't want to know. So when you see people that trigger you and are seemingly so annoying, remember, what are they bringing up in me? What are they reflecting in me? Well, I'm nothing like them. I didn't say it was exact, but they're mirroring something. Something literal that they are like this and you also are like that, whether you know it or not. Sometimes it isn't literal. Sometimes it's metaphor, symbolic. Sometimes you have a person that over drinks or over drugs or over sexes or whatever it is, Sometimes they're not there because you are exactly the same way. Sometimes they're there doing that because it's triggering you and you have to work on your trigger, not your literal behavior. See what I mean by that? It's not always like literal. So it could be, I remember on tour, just one quick example that popped in my head just now. Doing a tour, and I went to this in South Florida, and I'm doing a talk, but it's supposed to be a New Thought church, but it's a little bit conservative, you can tell. Everybody's wearing shirts and ties and coats and those sorts of things. But they're dressed like very conservative. But then this is South Florida, so the younger people that heard Michael's going to be there, they show up. And they're like, in saris and, new agey kinds of purple and tie-dye. This was totally offensive to the people of that church. I actually heard this one older woman say, I can't believe you came dressed like that to church. I wanted to go, well, try it, lady. Try it, like live dangerously. The other hasn't helped you, obviously. But fortunately, I'm loving and forgiving. And forgive her. She knows not what she does. But you see, in a church, I remember this one board member of a church said, oh, Michael, God, I'm so glad you're here. This group, I don't know how we're going to steer them more spiritual direction. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, he said this one teacher went up and was talking, and he was really getting everybody's like grabbing their attention. He was really engaging. And everybody was like, ooh, they move with him as he's talking. They can kind of feel it. And he made some point. He was trying to make some point. So he took a chair and he stood on it and he was doing something relevant to his talk. So the talk's over. Board has a meeting. So wasn't that great? And one woman, I don't think it's appropriate to be standing on the furniture. It's like, did you hear anything? Seriously? That's your takeaway? He stood on a chair? You don't want me speaking. God only knows what I'll do. Like, if that bothers you, where are you at? So, forgiveness and triggers that need forgiven, those triggers show you where you're at in your growth. People keep waiting for the world to change. The stuff that isn't changing is showing you where you're at or not at. Is that making sense? It's like it ends right here. That's as far as I can go. I can handle one annoying person, not two. That's good for me to know that. You see, it is. It's like, oh, okay. Now I know where I'm at and where my work begins. So don't be totally put off by those things that reveal shortcomings, as it were. Use it to value. Let it help you, recognize, I didn't realize there was a limit to my forgiveness. I can forgive certain things, not other certain things. I can forgive somebody on social media saying they don't agree with my political views. But once they do such and such, that's unforgivable. What that means is I have drawn the line to my level of forgiveness, which is obvious, right? But it also means that's where I keep the world frozen, being the world that it is. Ah, dang it. Well, I certainly don't want to do that. So I guess I'm going to push myself just a little to go a little further with forgiveness. Start with gross words if you need to, meaning dense. All right, God, I'm going to give it a shot and work on real disturbing people. Use dense words like that. It's okay, because what you're saying now about, but God, what do you want me to do? Forgive those kinds of people? Look what they've done. It'll start there, I swear to you. Days, weeks, sometimes hours, days, weeks, months, maybe years. Your whole phrasing is going to be different. There won't even be the word they. You'll just notice we. And then you're getting there. There's no singling out for a judgment. But it takes time. It takes evolution for one phrase of it, but it does. It takes a little patience. So hang in there. If you don't feel like you're totally locking in there and practicing and being an expert at forgiveness, it doesn't matter. I've said this many times, it's more harmful for you to try to forgive at levels you're not ready for than it is to just accept some levels and own it. You've heard me also many times summarize forgiveness. All it means, because think about when you hear about this word. Think about friends that say, so I've heard about forgiveness. I heard this guy talk about forgiveness. What do you think that actually means? Or some people just draw a conclusion, which is, I heard about forgiveness, so I guess I'm supposed to stop hating that person. There's definitions and all that. It's really simple. Refuse to hate. Learn what you need to learn from an experience. And can you commit to seeing or affirming that there's light in that person? You don't even have to see the light, but can you commit to seeing it? It might take me 5 more lifetimes, but I'm still going to affirm that person still has the light of God in them. All you have to say is no to one of those, and there's not actual forgiveness. Get those right, those three, and look how much easier it seems. See, the world wants, and the ego wants us to think things are unforgivable. Unforgivable. Remember that? That's what you are. Yeah, send that to a relative you don't get along with. For Christmas, unforgivable. No. So, that's not the consciousness. But if I fall short and I say, I can't do one of those, that's where my work has to be. That's where I need to put my attention. You know, I refuse to hate them, and I'm willing to look at my part, but I'm not going to affirm that they have light in them after what they've done. See? Holding off. In not forgiving them, a part of them, an excuse for not forgiving, I'm stuck. Is that bad? It just is what it is. It means there's my investment into the illusion. And believe it or not, if you can handle this much, if I say to you, I want to save all the trees. I want to save the dolphin, because those are really cool animals. You know, dolphin are just wonderful. But that person next door, oh. I'm saying to you, your resentment, righteous resentment for the person next door, I'm telling you, is adding to the slaughter of dolphin. It's cutting down trees. Any hatred, any resentment, any grievance towards anyone or anything, even an event, is giving the whole world a darkness that you can't see with your eyes, that feeds the stuff in people that makes them become predatorial. Those people are not accessing their heart and soul going, okay, I want to really become really predatorial today. I want to become a complete megalomaniac dictator. So I'm going to access that center in my soul, that center, that light in my being. That's not how they do it. They say, I want to be that way, and all of a sudden, it seems to fill them. From where? There's a cloud of energy, a darkness that surrounds the planet that will feed anybody's anger when they ask for it. Just pull up to the fuel pump. Resentment, resentment, resentment. You know, and it's just filled, and then you're like, oh, man, I'm ready to go. You know, I'm going to go after this person, that group, this group. It just feeds. And it's not just feeding powerful people. This energy loves to hijack the mind of anyone. A 2-year-old, a 102-year-old. It doesn't say, let's just go after the politicians. But it does marvel when it grabs them. You know, if you can get people in power messed up, you know things are going to, be extra to control. But if a few world leaders, religious or political leaders, pulled up to the tank and got fed this, and you and I didn't buy into it, all they would do is spin the wheels in their car that they fueled up of resentment and hate and control. They would spin around and nobody would give into it, and they would burn up. They would just burn it off. They would run out of fuel. Then they'd pull up to the tank, and there would be no reserves at that gas station underground in a big tank. This is up to you and me in all things of life. I need to stop fueling it, which is Jesus' statement. Another statement misunderstood, but resist not evil. Don't fuel it. Well, what do you want us to do? Look at the pictures on the news. Look at the dolphin. Look at the clear cutting. I remember the first time I saw that, and I thought, wow, full mountains with no trees that had trees yesterday, but not today, as it were, right? I'm just like, wow, like what a trip. Why don't you cut some down? Because they don't make as much money if they don't just shave the whole hill at once. And yeah, I felt a twinge there. How could you not see all kinds of whales or dolphin, Whales, some of the most beautiful species of whale. They believe that we had, let's say, 50,000 one time on this planet. And it was brought down to like 50 at one time. 50. How do you take a species of any kind and knock it down to that? It's kind of nuts. But we say, well, there's people that made money, and you start the head. They needed to make a living, you start the head. You don't mind if we bring the population of mosquitoes down. Don't you think it values its life as much as a whale? But we justify it. Our job is not to get all bent out, over mosquitoes. If you have to swat it, fine. If you don't want a black widow in your living room with your kid, fine, take care of it. It's fine. But what's happening inside when you do it? Do you hate? Or are you saying, no, we can't be doing this today? You know, give a 24-hour notice. Mice, this is the homeowner. I'm letting you all know. You've got 24 hours. Thank you for visiting. But like some relatives, you're not staying. So thank you for visiting. You'll all be leaving now. I am saying this very clearly. I don't care what it is. Ghosts. Hey, tomorrow the exorcist is showing up. Just wanted y'all to know. If they stay past that point of intention in your mind, leave it to God. That's the way it goes. I mean, that's one way to deal with these things. So, in closing, taking forgiveness to a whole new level. I refuse to hate. A lot of people that didn't know forgiveness was easy, that piece helped them go, oh my God, I thought I had issues. You do. But there's 3 stages. Maybe you're able to get past the first stage. Now you know you're making progress. It'll be easier to make the second stage. Can you just refuse to hate them? Absolutely. And that one, I would say 90% of my clients or students get past that one fairly easily. Can you learn what you need to learn from this? That gets trickier because immediately people rear up and become defensive. There's nothing I need to learn. They're the ones who are bad. Let's say they were. Can you learn anything? I'm not even the one that was there. I can tell you something I'm learning from your story right now. We are capable of learning. We just don't want to. But if you don't want to, you won't get past stage 2. So instead, can you just look? That's why you go to these workshops and read these books and do these processes. So that you can go, ooh, wow. You know, I was thinking about this person and then something else came up. Insights. That's willingness to learn something from it. Third, a tough one. I can refuse to hate Hitler, but don't tell me I have to see light in Hitler. There was no light. Oh, I'm sorry for you. Because you just affirmed you don't have that light either. Yes, I do. You don't. You do ultimately. You're not in touch with it while hating anyone else. While refusing to see, how could I not see your light and find my own if we're one? That doesn't even make sense. If we're one, when I negate your light, and we're one, I negated my own. I don't like that at all. And you shouldn't. Would you like to change it? Yes. You know, the kid, doing this with the feet on the ground. I guess so. Okay, then let's change it. And you walk through it again. Are we having issues with refusing to hate? And you work through that and see how much you're willing to go. Are you willing to learn your own stuff? That's why workshops on forgiveness can be helpful. Past life stuff, inner child stuff with your counselors. Whatever is going to pull the layers off. As far as I'm concerned, anything that does this is really good. Removal, all of that. And then it gets down to that, and can you see light? I believe personally, when you get those first 2 really clear, I think the third one is easy. Most humans don't. But I believe it is. If I really get this and this is almost like a natural gift or response from the other 2. If that doesn't happen naturally for you and you still have to work it, then work it. But I just go, well, how could there not be light? I'm refusing to hate you. As soon as I start learning my stuff around this topic, there's not even a you for me to see light in. That's weird, isn't it? I don't have to sit and go, there is light in them. There is. As soon as I took responsibility, which is the middle one, and learned what I needed to learn, I don't have as much resistance to seeing and affirming light in you. Okay? Make sense? All right, let's take a few centering breaths, please. When you inhale, just hear the words, I am. When you exhale, hear the word relax. It's just a good exercise for centering. It's just really great to kind of turn things around. Do that for half dozen breaths at least. I am relaxed, or I am at peace. And today we're going to share a brief visualization. So imagine, whether it's in a room or a larger gathering than that, imagine a lot of people around you, spread through a room like this, but a mixture. People you like, people you don't like, people you've loved, people you've hated, whatever emotion happens to go, in alignment with the visualization, just do that. Just a mixture of people. And then imagine in that room, which is really true for the universe, imagine that the space between each of us is not empty space. Imagine like a liquidy energy that sits between all of us. Kind of like we're all in a pool, three-dimensional pool, and it goes high, low, all around us, but it just wraps around everything, the force. There's this liquidy energy. And just kind of picture this in your mind. So clearly, so vividly, that if I even were to lift one of my hands a foot upwards, that it creates a wave through that liquid energy. There's an effect. Wow. And I noticed someone over in one end of the room, if they were to move a little, there's this bloop, like an effect in the whole wave around us. Now, in the room there's people that I might remember that I don't like or I've struggled with. Wherever they are in the room, think about this. If I have hurtful, regretful, hateful, whatever thoughts towards the person, imagine that liquid energy becomes a color, a darkness that I send out because the whole ocean of energy responds to me. My movements, my thoughts. So I have this dark thing come up. It rises up inside and it emits outward. Does it only go to that one person? Think about it. Am I not also in the ocean? This liquid light ocean? Am I not also being affected? If there were trees in this ocean with me, would they not also be affected? If there were animals, mammals, whatever it is. This is what my hurt, my hate, my non-forgiveness, and my judgments is putting out. And all of a sudden, if I put out enough of that, it doesn't take much to realize a tree just died. Now, if it died because someone came and cut it down, or it died because it became infected, either way, my energy that I put out did affect that tree and its lifespan. The second step of forgiveness is, what can I learn from this? If you're doing this visualization right now, thinking and defending, I had nothing to do with that tree dying, you're still not learning anything. Therefore, you're not even halfway through forgiveness. Letting that breathe. Forgive me. Please forgive me, ocean. Please forgive me, tree, people, person, and so on. This is not what I would choose to put out to the world. Instead, I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. And then picture that. What starts to happen into the liquid energy? I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. What happens? Really hear the words like you believe. Imagine that you believe those words. Just imagining you believe them will already increase their potency. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I feel excited about saying that. Wow. Look what's happening, bringing life. The tree becomes healed that was rotting. It's renewed. People, groups. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I'm not having to fight any of those things, those individuals or those groups out there. I'm not having to fight and fix them. I'm just being the truth. I am as God created me, and so are you. Say that to them, to the tree, to the animal. Guess what? The good news of the Lord, I am as God created me. God is, I am, and we are. And watch the light that reverberates from that consciousness, that thought. Watch the light. Actually feel and see that light creates a wave, an impact through that ocean. And it quickens. When that wave hits any one person, place, thing, event in your memory, when it hits that thing, it shakes it out. It shakes out its darkness, if it had any, and brings it back to light. It quickens it. It wakes it up. Give that just a few more moments here. Feel a sense of gratitude. If I but knew the gratitude my brothers, sisters, animals, and so on would feel if I truly forgave, if I truly sent a wave of forgiveness across the universe, how many people would be positively affected by that? Can you imagine? I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. Became a child in a hospital that spontaneously healed. How could that not be the coolest thing? Imagine an animal not running for its life, not even for another single day, not running for its life, swimming for its life or whatever. Is that not worth it? What if your prayers of forgiveness could go through time, because they do. What if they could go through time? And there's some woman who's lost her children, maybe her husband or partner, sitting in some cabin or some primitive cave, whatever, mourning and just frightened, not knowing what to even pray to help her. And what if all of a sudden the prayers you're doing, the forgiveness you're doing today reached her? And you watch that woman get from being curled up in terror, standing up going, I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling something's going to change. This is how consciousness works. This isn't just a fantasy. This is how it works. But people have forgotten it, so they don't practice it. Therefore, we don't see it. To all whom are being affected by this, and we all are being affected by this, we extend gratitude for this opportunity to see this and send you this good light, and we give thanks that you're feeling the effects immediately. Brothers and sisters, even in the streets today, I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth, and you as well. And so it is. I'll close with this. There's a story once where I remember I was telling this story one time, and it was in Texas and Houston. And I told the story, and it was really interesting to see how, remember the story of the guy getting on the chair, and they made that what their takeaway? So I told this story, and some gal came up to me later, and I'll tell you what her takeaway was. But I told the story. I said, okay, so I'm driving in South Florida, again, back to that place. So I was driving in South Florida, and I'm going from up north down to the south to do a workshop. I have no idea the exits or anything, and I rented a car, and I was driving myself this time. So I'm driving, I'm like, and cars are kind of, moving along, and I'm kind of thinking in terms of looking for off-ramps, not paying attention, but just going the speed with the cars. What I didn't notice is all the other cars started slowing down because they saw a policeman, sitting in the center island of the freeway there. And I didn't, so he got me and pulled me over. He walks up to the car. Hello. I thought he was just a great personality. And his whole style, his whole language style, everything. And I'm saying, hi there, well, what are you doing? I'm going, well, you got a little southern thing going on, but I'm like, well, I'm just trying to get the da-da-da-da-da, and I'm not even sure where the exit is. Well, let me tell you, you missed the exit a few miles back. Oh, great. So, I'll go back and look for it when we're done. And he says, all right. He looks and he saw a flyer that I had for my workshop. Let me take a look at that. I'm like, oh God. I don't know, this might not go well. And he looks at it. So, a counselor, huh? I go, yeah, kind of, So you like to mess with people's minds, do you? And I'm going, well, we all do our part, don't we? And I'm just thinking, oh, how's this going to go? But it was pretty funny, his response. And then he says, well, I'm not going to write you up. And he says, but follow me and I'll show you the exit. This escort to where I need to go. But to see something differently, to be able to laugh at something like that, just to bring some lightness to it. A friend of mine got pulled over and I was in the car once, and I remember I shared this with you once, but he kept going. He was fast. I'm like, dude, you're going too fast. He wouldn't let up. Dude, better. Then we got caught. Policeman pulls us over. And I said, sorry, he's driving really fast, but it's because we're trying to get to such and such. It was in Arizona, I think. We're trying to get such and such Arizona. He goes, oh, well, and I said, we're hoping to be there within the next 2 hours. He said, oh, you're like 4 hours away. And we're like, you're kidding. And I go, so we're going to have to drive much faster now. But the guy laughed. He didn't write me up. He didn't write us up. It's like, what? Lightness, bridging, care, just relax as best you can. Not everything is funny in the moment. I understand that. But find some levity to things. So I appreciate that you folks respond, and I appreciate that you folks online say, this was pretty cool. Because it's all a joke anyway. Do you realize how funny, no matter how tragic things look, do you realize how funny it is for a divine being to think that it's a limited being? That's funny. That's a good joke. In spiritual bars everywhere in heaven, where they only drink light beers and light sodas. There's a joke, and it's the same one every time. Hey, did you hear about the divine being that thought it was a human? Boom. It's like, did you hear about the three humans? It's still always the same joke. Humans that forgot that they're divine beings. And it is kind of funny because it's ludicrous, because it's impossible. So it is funny. We descend into the mess. We zip it up and wear it. We put it on our TVs. We talk it at the water coolers at office and wherever else. It's all dramatized around us, and we forgot to laugh. We've taken it so serious, and I don't think I'll ever lose the ability to see silliness in things, or to kind of make light of things. I'll laugh at myself for something I've thought, said, or done, or somebody else. It's never meant cruelly. I just think there's things we do that are funny. You've heard me make jokes about false versions of forgiveness, religions. And yet you've also heard me say every one of them has a value. Deep, beautiful value, but also pretty ridiculous. The way things are in politics. How can I not laugh at that? But some people are deeply, passionately enmeshed in rights and wrongs. You just sit back and go, they're all insane. They're all insane. None of them go, well, we really appreciate this thing about them. We just think differently. It's wrong, bad, and then this is wrong. And you just go, wow, it's amazing. You can, in seconds, you can watch one thing that happened. Here's a historic event. There was this guy at a podium. He took a yellow piece of paper with all these prayers, and he set it on a podium. They'll each tell the story completely different to fit whatever their thing is. But he had long hair. We think he was a radical. Just look at, as he did it, you slightly saw him wink, which was a subconscious message to everyone that I'm pulling something over on you. The other group will do something completely opposite to that. That's this world. Stop listening to it as though it's the bringer of truth. The whole thing is a lie. You're not separate. The whole thing is a lie. Why would you trust the messengers in the lie to tell you the truth? You see, you laughed because you know that's insane. But we know that if one of us is acting out that lie in a hurtful way towards people or animals and so on, it doesn't seem very funny anymore. So we breathe and we say, God, I just found a limit to my ability to see the lightness of these things because I got triggered when I saw something get hurt. Help me to forgive them. They know not what they do. You even have to forgive animals for taking each other's lives. And then the animals will not take each other's lives anymore. The animal's waiting for you and I to release it from our judgment that it's a harsh animal, that it's a predatory animal. It's true. When I stop thinking lions must kill things, their prey, it'll stop doing it. There are so many videos coming out now where seals that eat penguins are shown bumping them up on the ice to help them be safe. They're supposed to eat them, and they will at times. But why is it happening that an orca goes after a seal? Playing with it. And there's times, I saw one video once, real footage, but this seal trying to make it up on the ice, and it was pretty pathetic. And the orca's like, lunch. And this thing's and at some point, the orca takes it and lifts it up onto the ice. See, that's supernatural to me because something chose not to kill because animals know we will only do this out of a necessity. But the necessity will disappear when it's not necessary for us to judge them as being that way. It'll all disappear. And then you'll hear, the lion shall lie with the lamb. That also means no parent would be hurtful to a child again. No partner would be hurtful to their partner. All of that can fade only through forgiveness. Only through forgiveness. Not by doing learning one more flute note, not by one more book you've read, not one more partner you've hooked up with. Nothing, not a new diet, nothing but forgiveness can break the spell of this. Okay, thank you. Please stand for our closing prayer. Right on. Again, if you don't know the words, it's on your bulletins or posted online. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Now take this with you, believing it. That God is, I am, we are, and all is well. Work to believe that. Anytime you doubt, a forgiveness is necessary. God bless. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.